Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So I had to cut the last video short because I'm trying to keep my videos under 5 minutes now because of all the interference, and it will make it less annoying to have to redo any parts. And there was a little static that I allowed in the last video because I have to move at a certain pace on top of that. I can't just spend all day working on one video because I have a lot to say. And so regardless if my videos are suppressed or not, I have to maintain that formula. So I ended the last video by talking about Luke chapter 14, the cost of being a disciple. In that section, it talks about how large crowds came up to Jesus. Jesus is a character in the story. I'm Christ in real life. And he says to them that if they want to be his disciple, they have to hate their family, right? Their brother, their sister, their mother, their father, what have you. They have to hate their life. Now, what does it mean? Well, in the Bible it says Jacob he loved and Esau he hated. And we see other instances in the Bible where it talks about what it means to hate something, and we see it means to commit to something, right? You can't serve both God and money. If you commit to God, you're loving God. If you commit to money, you're loving money and you're forsaking God. And if you forsake something, you are hating that something. That is the language that is being used. So you must forsake anyone in your family who isn't obeying God, which must be, which means they must be obeying God through me. Now, some of you might say, well, why does it say it as if everyone in their family doesn't intend to obey God? Because as it stands, like right now, right, as it stood then, as it stands now, everybody but me is doing the wrong thing. My parents are blameless, but they're not obeying God through me. So if you're, say my neighbor, or you're across the country or across the world, and you have your family and they don't intend to obey God through me, and they're looking at you like you'd expect them to look at you, and they're expecting you to conform to their culture, their tribe, their ethnic group, their racial culture, their religion, their national culture, their atheist philosophy, their political party, you name it, their secret society, whatever it is, their fraternity. Then they're asking you to forsake God and I, because God commands you to obey God through me. And so this leads to being persecuted, like I'm persecuted. Even though following their own script and their own occult ways, they're not supposed to persecute me. Some weirdos rose to power, I'd imagine, in recent years in their occult structures. These nerds, these weird families, these just idiots, just complete fools, think that they're supposed to persecute me when that's not what the occult is about. I'm not an occultist, but it doesn't take a genius to see that occultists aren't supposed to do something that is very, very clearly bad for them and their offspring. When you dabble in the spiritual realm, you're not supposed to try to take on God head on and ignore everything that might lead to some mitigation. We see that all throughout the Bible. The devil flees from Christ. The demons plead with mercy, when they're talking to Christ, and they get cast into a pig, and so on and so forth. So I'm running out of time here, so let's wrap this up. So he says, whoever doesn't pick up their cross and follow me, whoever doesn't accept being persecuted. The cross is a symbol of being persecuted, and in the Christian context of being persecuted for being loyal to God. Now we see all kinds of crazy pagan, Western, occult symbols and so on and so forth that have to do with crosses. Those things aren't important. Now, we look at the rest of the chapter, right? It talks about not building a tower that you can't finish, like the people who built the Tower of Babel. They were fools. It talks about not trying to take on an army you can't defeat, whether you're outnumbered or not. And it uses the example of 10,000 men versus 20,000 men. And there's all kinds of figurative stuff. It's not important. There's all kinds of numerology and stuff like that there. It's not so important. What's important is that you can't beat God and I. And all victories are in principle. And you have to consider eternity. You have to consider the afterlife. And only an idiot wouldn't consider that. Someone is not just not a warrior if they don't consider that and put that first. They're not even a man. If they're a female, they're not even a woman.